This is WT for TST, and this evening we're honoured to be joined by UFC star Mike Grundy. How are you doing, mate?
Going good, thanks, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, good, mate. It's just a bit different, this, because we were just used to having boxers on, so I'm looking forward to this one. And it's a little bit less muscly, bit of a better beard game than you, but it's similar looking in the mirror, mate.
It's almost like looking in a mirror, yeah? Bang on.
Nah, mate, not when you see my physique and your...
I can see the reflection just blinding off your head, to be honest. I bet you can see the same, can you?
Yeah. Right, mate, we'll get into it. So first things first, really, on TST, what we like to do first is go through, basically see what makes you you, so behind the gloves, behind your wrestling, and go back to childhood. So you were born in Wigan, yeah?
Wigan, yeah, born and bred.
Talk us through it, mate. What happened? Anything interesting?
So yeah, born and brought up in Wigan. Tough, it's a tough little town, you know, Wigan. I mean, obviously coal miners and all that type of stuff, you know, which is where wrestling kind of originated. With the coal miners just betting on each other, just tough coal miners. That's where it kind of started, they reckon. So that's interesting. And yeah, I started wrestling when I was 6. I started at Roy Wood's Snake Pit, which is known worldwide, really, Snake Pit. It was called Lancashire Wrestling and whatever, yeah, which is a bit of submissions in that as well. But it's getting popular again now, catch wrestling. So that's where I started. I mean, the reason I started wrestling was because, it's not. I mean, my mates went down and they started doing a bit of wrestling, and then they asked me to go, and I asked my dad, could I go? You know, and I just went, really. But the reason I went was because I was a shy kid. I was shy when I was younger. I didn't mix with kids too well. I wasn't too confident, you know. And my dad said, "Yeah, it'd be good for you, you know, and just bring me out my shell a little bit." So I went, and you know, I was like a duck to water. The coach, Roy Wood, he said, "You're a natural." He said, "You could do really well," and you know, he bigged me up and stuff. So my confidence just grew from there, and you know, I carried on going. All my mates finished, and Wigan's being a rugby town mainly. So they all finished and started doing rugby. I carried on with wrestling. I just said I was good. I was small, me as a kid, really small. And my dad said I was like the runt of the family. Do you know what I mean? There's 5 of us. There's me, and I've got 4 other siblings. I've got 3 sisters and a brother. I mean, everyone says I'd been brought up with loads of brothers, but trust me, it's worse being brought up with sisters.
Mate, I live in a house full of women, even both dogs are girls, mate. I know what you're saying.
Oh God, it's got to be tough. But yeah, so I was wrestling. He just said, the coach just said, I'm good at getting out of things. You know, if someone's putting locks on me or whatever. So, like I said, he just built my confidence from there, really, and that's why I started wrestling. That's why I carried it on.
Because, like, from a childhood for me, like, if anyone mentioned wrestling to me, I'd be thinking at my age, I guess WWF. It's now WWE, isn't it? Now, yeah. But we used to do all sorts of stuff at school and, like, you know, like slam each other down and all this stuff. Did ever any of your wrestling come into school or not?
It shouldn't do, really, but it has definitely. Do you know what I mean? I've had, like I say, there's 5 siblings. I've had to learn how to stick up for myself. And every one of us has wrestled at some point. Even my sisters, they all wrestled, and my older brother wrestled. So, I mean, we just had fucking wrestle for get our tea, you know what I mean? There's a few of us, so it was just, you know, every one of them, even my cousins wrestled as well. So, but like I say, like you just said, then, you know, messing about with your mates and stuff, you was wrestling. It's just a natural thing to do. It's play fighting, really.
So, but anyway, it went really well for you, and you did really well throughout your wrestling career, didn't you? Give us some highlights.
Yeah, so I mean, I think I went to my first international competition when I was 9-year-old. I went to America at 9 and trained there for 3 weeks. 9-year-old, I was not on my own. I mean, my dad come with me because my dad was a part of my coaching as well from a young age.
And he wanted to play America.
Sorry?
And he wanted to go to America.
Of course, yeah, obviously, yeah. That's the main thing. But he coached me from young, and I had a coach from America. So we went to America and trained. So that's my first international tournament. And then I went to wrestle for Great Britain at 13, really. And did my first proper international tournament, I should say, at 13. And then I went on to the national team at 17. I mean, I won lots of regional tournaments. I'd run Britain. I was national champion like over 10 times as a kid, really. I never lost that. And then when I got to 17, I got took onto the world-class program, which was, our generation was very lucky, really. There's not much money in wrestling at all. So I was lucky. At 17, I got took on the world-class program where I got paid to train and wrestle, because obviously 2012 Olympics was coming round for me. And obviously we had like the Commonwealth Games 2010 before that. So, so I trained full-time, twice a day, 3 times a day, and got paid for it. And then it was a bit of a nightmare, to be honest, because when I was 17, they brought over a lot of foreign wrestlers from Russia and Ukraine and places like that to train with us. Or they said train with us, but what happened was, I'm not bad-mouthing the British wrestling or anything like that, but what happened was they ended up taking our places for the 2012 Olympics, and I got onto this a bit earlier. So I finished wrestling in 2011. So that's when I went to mixed martial arts in 2011 and changed over. Just due to politics, really. So I got a bit upset with it all.
So when they brought them over, you talk, because I don't know, I'm being probably ignorant if you like, but
no, that's the questions.
You've got to be a certain, so like for football or whatever, you've got to be in a certain country for 5 years before you can represent. Is that what you're saying? Is that what they came over to do, and then they could represent England?
So they come over as training partners for us for the 2012 Olympics, and then they obviously stayed over, and some of them got the passports and stuff, and then they could compete for our country. So there's only one person who competed in 2012 Olympics, and that was a Ukrainian girl. Now there's no problem to them, because obviously, you know, they come over here for a better life, a better career kind of thing. But obviously, all us who was took on the world class program at 17, it was a bit harsh on us.
Yeah, and the fact that you've worked so far for that and so long for it.
Yeah, we had a lot of passion. Do you know what I mean? I from a young age, from when I first started doing my international tournaments, I always thought, you know what, I only want to go to the Olympics.
Go back to Commonwealth. You did them, didn't you?
I did the Commonwealth Games. Did it again. Another reason, like I say, I fell out with it. Well, I fell out with it a little bit. Is 2010. I was on the team for the Commonwealth Games. I went to the Commonwealth Games in 2010, but probably about 6 weeks before it, I'd already done all my qualification tournaments. I qualified. I won the nationals. I'd done a top 6 place internationally. So I'd done everything I needed to do to qualify for the Commonwealth Games, and I'd done what I had to do. And then they said 6 weeks before, my mum and dad's brought their tickets to go to India, because that's where it was. So they was going to India to watch me and everything. And 6 weeks before, they said, you're gonna have to have a wrestle off. So basically, your best out of 3 to wrestle off against this guy who was from Russia. He's got his passport, and so I didn't know 6 weeks before where I was going or not. This shouldn't have happened, because obviously I'd already done my qualification. Anyway, I said to myself, if I didn't win this match, then I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna finish from wrestling now. Luckily enough, I beat him in 2 matches out of the 3. I won the match. But it was a harsh thing to do. So after that Commonwealth Games, that's when I finished in 2011. That was 2010. I finished and went to mixed martial arts then. But so my 2012 Olympic dream really had kind of gone a little bit.
Right, okay, mate. Well, we'll move on a little bit, and we're going to move on.
Let's get on to a positive note, eh?
No.
That's a bit of a negative, aren't we?
It's good to understand it all, because when you're watching it from the sidelines, sometimes you don't know all this stuff happens in the background.
No, you don't. I've never really told any stories like that, to be honest. It's just because we got onto the wrestling subject.
So anyway, we're going to go to your offspring now, Jack. Jack's following in your footsteps, and I've been told he's some wrestler, mate. And you've just told me off camera he's now actually going across to MMA as well. So are you coaching him?
Yeah, I've coached Jack since we were 4, since he started. But Jack's been crawling around the mat since I've been obviously training as well. So he's always been there since he was born, crawling, rolling, doing whatever he does. When I'm training, he's always been there when I'm training. So he understands, wrestling from 4-year-old, and he's 15 now. So he's wrestled a long time. He's now 7 times national champion. So he's 8. He was 8 when he did his first British Championships. He's never lost since. And he's switched over to mixed martial arts, and he's been doing that for 5 years as well now.
So do you reckon, because of your experiences, his standing will be much better than yours, because you've been there all the time?
Yeah, and whatever, I'm presuming what most people do for the kids is, you're going to make them learn from mistakes you've made yourself. So whatever mistakes I've made within my career, then I'm making sure he doesn't make them.
Oh,
and he's doing well. He listens. He's very mature, and yeah, he's got a good head on his shoulders.
I can tell your face, mate. You're beaming.
No,
Proud dad. Yeah, mate. Oh, it's great, mate. So again, probably my ignorance here, but as a question about now, obviously you're in the UFC. So because I normally speak to boxers, you've got probably limited coaching things inside of boxing, but within UFC, you've got so many different disciplines that you can use all at once. I guess I wanted to know about how do you stage your coaching? So you'll have a jiu-jitsu coach, I guess, a wrestling, but you might not need that. You're that good. You might have a boxing coach. How does all that work? How do you bind it together?
So I think a lot of MMA lads, they will have separate coaches in each area. You know, like they'll go to a boxing gym, maybe they'll go to a Thai boxing gym, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and whatever else they need. But we've got Colin Aaron, who's our coach, and he's a Thai boxing coach, and he has been since he was 16 years old. And he's made a lot of world champions in Thai boxing and other striking areas boxing. So he's done most striking martial arts, and he's also now he's a black belt in luta livre and jiu-jitsu. So he knows what he's doing on the ground too. And even to some sense, because he's watched mixed martial arts for so long and he's coached so many guys, he understands wrestling as well. So he understands every area of mixed martial arts. You know what I mean? He's a very intelligent coach. So we have him as an head coach who oversees everything. And I coach the wrestling side of things in the gym. So I'll coach all the professionals and the amateurs and the kids as well. So we've only kind of really got one coach who oversees everything and puts our game plans, if you say, together for our fights.
No, that's sound, mate. Just like I say, I'm probably just intrigued, really, just to see how it all works.
Most people will have more coaches. I think, like, for example, JSP, you know, obviously one of the best ever to do it. He seems to go to a gym for his boxing, a gym for his Thai boxing, a gym for his wrestling. He'll go to separate gyms and treat everything differently. So it depends what kind of team you have, I suppose.
Yeah, no, it's good, mate. And then talking about the team, so before your last fight, there was 3 of you from your team on the card, weren't there? How did that fight? Was that a different experience having, like, you know, more of you from the team on the card? I bet it was a bit like you know, out with the boys, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good. It was good atmosphere and training camp. Obviously, you know, I mean, training camp was good banter. It always is with Till knocking about. I mean, he's always got some good banter. He's always talking shit about someone. So it's a good laugh, and it breaks the training up. So training camp was good, and being out on Fight Island, you know what I mean? It was a great experience. You know, I think only 100 fighters in the UFC got a chance to even fight on that island. So that was a big thing. And for us to be 3 teammates together is class. You know what I mean? It's a credit to our coach as well, making fighters like that.
So before that fight, you might not want to talk about the fight, but before that fight, 9 unbeaten going into that, and then you nearly had him in the first round, didn't you? Yeah.
I don't mind talking about it. Listen, I'm thick-skinned.
Go on, let's talk about the fight then. So you nearly had him.
Bunch of scouts, you know what I
mean? So you nearly had him in the first round, and then I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you must be some hard nut, but anyway, you broke your jaw in the first round, yeah, and you carried on through.
Yeah.
Go on. Talk to us about the fight.
So yeah, the first round, I'd say it was all me, really. It was a tough fight. We always knew it was going to be a tough fight. We always knew he was going to be tough to finish. Them Russians, you know what I mean? Some of them are, you know, they're animals. But I managed to catch him a choke early doors in the first round, which was definitely on. You know, I probably made a slight mistake. Maybe you might not know what I'm on about, but I grabbed my forearm rather than bicep on the Darce choke, so that made it a bit slacker. But he was definitely on. You know, he was gargling. So I tightened it up a little bit more, but he managed to wriggle out. So yeah, he got out of that. But even I think from watching back on the video, because obviously I was in that. I remember bits and bats of the fight after the fight, and I remembered taking him down in the first minute, and I remember him just throwing little shots on the ground. So just which don't usually bother you, just can kind of take them and whatever, carry on. But I can remember him hitting. I can remember hitting the side of my face. So I've gone back to the video after the fight and watched it, and it looks like I broke my jaw in the first minute. On the first takedown I did, as I've tucked down, he's thrown a kick and I've either banged my jaw on his knee or his hip or something. It's because there was a dent in the side of my face when I was fighting on the ground. So the start of the break started in the first minute, and then he finished it off probably 2 minutes before the end of the first round. And then, yeah, I mean, it was it was sore, but the problem was with my jaw was my vision in the fight. When I stepped back, I could barely see him. It was quite blurry. So if you look back at the fight after each round, I just stand in the middle of the cage and wait for my coach to come in to take me to my corner, because I don't actually know where my corner is, because that's how blurry it was. So that was the problem, really, the vision. I didn't say anything to my coach because I felt like he's making an excuse to the world, if you know what I mean. Everyone who's watching, you're not saying to your coach, "I've brought my jaw, coach." I'm saying it to everyone who's watching as well. So it's like, it's fact. It's a fact. I brought my jaw. I've got the X-ray. Do you know what I mean? It's a clear free breaks at the side here. But I didn't want to say it because it's like making an excuse. If I lose this fight, it's because I broke my jaw. But I didn't want that excuse for myself in my own head, and I didn't want it for anyone else. So I just didn't say anything between rounds and just kind of cracked on.
So what keeps you going though? Is it just pure adrenaline then?
It's adrenaline, yeah, adrenaline, and I don't know. I think I've wrestled my whole career, and I think wrestlers are some of the toughest people in the sport. Myself, to be honest, not just saying it because I'm a wrestler, but if you ask anyone, it's just tough, gritty sport, and you just they just don't know when to give up, I feel.
So because of that, then does that keep you out for longer then, or would you still take the period of time off after?
Well, I had to have an operation. They wanted to do it when I finished the fight. I had to go straight to the hospital, and they had to assess my jaw, and they wanted to do the operation there, but I said no. I want to get home. Do you know what I mean? So I went back to UK and got the operation done in UK, but the recovery time was like 12 weeks. It was like 3 months recovery, but I'm recovered now. I'm back sparring, and I've signed a contract for my next fight. I can't say where or when.
That's all right, mate.
But yeah,
as long as
signed the contract.
As long as you got it, mate, get it signed. Right. Next bit was in a world where there's that many crossover fights within boxing and MMA or UFC talked about all the time. Would you ever fancy that? Would you ever go across the boxing world and have a scrap? Well, you won't be allowed a boxing match.
I mean, my main game's wrestling, I'd say. So if they let me double leg them, yeah. if you had in a double leg, then yeah.
So no, then.
But,
right. I want to talk about your love for Wigan Warriors, mate. Where did that all start?
I mean, my family have always played rugby. They're all rugby fans. They've always played rugby. So I grew up with it, really, and I've always supported Wigan since I was a kid. I used to watch them when I was a kid. And obviously, more successful I got through wrestling. They kind of helped me out, and I helped them out. You know, they've had me on the pitch a few times, and you know, they've always promoted me every time I've been fighting, which is good to see because I supported them since I was a kid. And then, you know, they're posting things about me that they're watching my fight on the big screen before they play a match and stuff like that. It's nice to see. And then obviously they've just got me doing this video where they launched the new badge. So, you know, it's good to work with them. But yeah, I coached them as well in pre-season. I've coached them a lot of wrestling and helped them out that way as well.
I'm going to come on to that. I mean, that's a bit like, you know, you're, you know, a team you've supported all your life. And then I guess some of them lads at some point, maybe not now, but will have been people you look up to. And now you're training, you know, the people that have followed them through. Wrestling, I think it's nuts. It's great. It
is. It's a good story. It's a good time to be helping them out as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like I say, I'm a fan of them. I'm a fan of them. But they're asking me to coach them and be a part of their video and their success. So it's good.
So that video is awesome, by the way. I know the badge hasn't gone down as well with the fans, but the video is class, mate.
Yeah, I enjoyed doing the video. I liked it. Do you know what I mean? It was good. And a lot of people, the reaction in the video has been really good. Like you said, but the badge though, I mean, a lot of fans are not too happy with the badge. But I think they're warm to it. The more the lads, you know, they've got the kit on and they start bringing out the new kit and stuff like that. So hopefully they warm to it anyway.
Probably feels a little bit like, because I'm from Leeds, so it probably feels like when Leeds United tried to change their badge with the guy that's saluting like this, and they ended up changing it back. You think that'll happen, or you think they'll stick with it?
I think they're going to stick with it because they're trying to, just keep up with modern stuff, really, and it is a bit more modern. And I can see what people are saying, but I've also watched the videos to how they made it and why they made it, why each area is where it is. And now, you've got to understand why they've done it. So you've got to appreciate that. And I think, like I say, I think people are warm to it, but it's because the old badge is so legendary. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of legends played with that badge on, and there's a lot of detail in it. And this new one is so far away from that other one. I think that's what people's not like, the change of it, but I think hopefully they warm for it.
Yeah, move with the times, mate. Right, that's pretty much us done, mate. Apart from, we'll go into some questions now from the viewers or followers, if you don't mind. So this is where sometimes this gets a bit random, but let's see how it goes. Yours aren't that bad. You've mentioned him already once here before, but Razza wants to know, what's Darren Till really like?
Darren Till is exactly how he is on camera, to be honest. He's always giving people shit. He loves his banter. He never switches off. Like I say, what you see on camera, this is why I don't mind that. A lot of people say to me, why do you not talk loads of shit because you're and get, try and make fights and get more money? I don't talk shit because I'm just my personality. I am who I am. If I tried to myself, then I'd look fake. Well, Darren is not fake. That's exactly who Darren is, and that's exactly Darren has always been. So he's not coming across as fake. That's who he is.
I've seen him on Instagram, mate. I saw one a couple of weeks ago, and he's chasing some guy that obviously must be delivering his raw dog stuff in his little smart car or something. He's chasing him down on the motorway. Yeah. I won't use the words he used, mate, but I think it's funny. Right, that's good. That answered that one. Trev wants to know, do you have an appetite to wrestle at the next Commonwealth Games?
See, I put a bit of a teaser out not long ago because it's 2022 in it, and it's going to be in Birmingham. I come back for Glasgow, which is where I got my bronze. And, we'll see what happens close to the time. And, if the UFC will let me, because I've got to obviously get permission from them because I'm fighting with that organisation. So you've got to get permission with them. But, yeah, I would, because I love wrestling. And, I coach the kids. I coach the kids wrestling. I've got my own wrestling team. We're going to lead wrestling club. And wrestling's my life as well, so I would definitely like to come back and have a go.
I'm taking that. I'll message Trev back and say absolutely. The answer's yes. Right, the last question we always finish with, mate, is a very random one, and there is a story behind it. I won't bore you with it. And the girl that sent the question's now blocked, and we just use her question. What are your top 3 chocolate bars?
Top 3 chocolate bars.
It's always a good one, mate. He always gets people thinking, this one.
It does, Got me here. I like a Snicker.
Yeah.
I don't know if you top one.
We've had a lot of Snickers. We've had Snickers, we've had Twixes, loads of them. We've had loads of
it's not a chocolate bar, but I like Lindt chocolate. Can I have that one?
Yeah, you can have that. Yeah. We've had that before. Yeah, it's dead sickly, that though, isn't it?
It can, yeah, when you have loads. But I like white chocolate. Milky. I like a milky bar as well.
The Milky Bar. Yeah. Right, Mike. That is us. So, unless you've got anything for the viewers to say to them.
No, just thanks for having me on, and make sure you watch my next fight whenever I announce it.
Absolutely, mate. We're looking forward to this one. So, right, mate, that's us. Take care of yourself. We'll speak soon. Thanks for doing it.
Thanks for having me on, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, pal.